Hi,
Hey,
Tom.
hey guys, how you doing?
Good. We see
Um,
you, we hear you, and it's all yours.
all right. Well, Morgan and Landon, thanks for doing this, first of all. Um, I had started collecting back probably in 95-ish, but I really wasn't much of a collector other than a couple current things here or there until our first convention. My wife and I went to Minnesota for the maybe 96, 97, and we were checking in our rooms and we stopped on the way and we went in a room and we were like, these people are crazy. They're buying Pez for like $50. And it was like the craziest thing ever. But then about a year or two later, the sports promo Pez started coming out. And that's when I was on eBay a lot. And so we went to the Twins game and basically I signed up as a birthday party, took my nephew, and basically we bought like 50 tickets, just the two of us, and he went in the gate and got a bunch of Twins Pez and we sold them on eBay. And I don't think it was the most people I didn't even know back then, but people were paying like a lot of money for them, and so I had a bunch of money. So the next couple of years we went back to the conventions and I started getting into Pez a little bit more. So um, to go through some stuff, today I've been locked in the house so long that we've been trying to clean up some Pez stuff. My goal was to get some IKEA shelves and rearrange down there, so I started tearing everything apart. Unfortunately, IKEA is not shipping shelves right now, so I kind of had to throw everything back a little bit. So I'll kind of show you where I'm at for now. So let's see. Today we just hung up some stuff on the way down to the basement. We got some of the pin artwork. I like to bid on those at some of the auctions. We've also got some of the puzzles on the wall. And then this is the pop room. The Funko Pops kind of got a little crazy. The shelf you're looking at here is about 3 boxes deep. So it goes floor to ceiling, 3 boxes deep. There's some more on that wall. The wall you're looking at over here is floor to ceiling as well, and that is 10 boxes deep. So there's 10 rows, one in front of the other, which is not the best way to actually show those, but that's the only way I could fit them all in right now. And then the rest are boxed up out in the back. But to talk about those real quick, I got to sneak in my other room here. Back when Funko was doing Bobble Heads, the bobbleheads were like Funko's big thing for a long time. And there were a lot of collectors that were big into Funko. And what happened is Brian Mariotti, the head of Funko, and Mike Becker would do a giveaway on Christmas to the Fanatic Forum. And what they would do is they would make like 12 or so of each dispenser. So like this Tony the Tiger, for instance, they would make like 6 or 12 of that special dispenser, and he would give them away randomly on these forums. And so I came across that, and I hadn't collected wobblers. I didn't really know much about them other than I'd seen them all over. And so I started to slowly try to buy some of these Pez ones that were the rare ones. Well, because they were giveaways, most of the people would not sell them because they didn't want to, look bad to Brian that he did this special giveaway and then they sold it right away. So they told me I would be able to trade them. So I spent a lot of time on eBay buying rare bobbleheads, non-Pez ones, to trade people for the rare Pez ones. And so I had a big batch of them. Most of these, like for instance, let's go back up here once. So like this creature from the Black Lagoon, there's one in the back that's not metallic. That's one of 12 made. The metallic ones are one of 6 made. So there's only 6 of those made, so it was kind of hard to dig these up. And what happened is this was right about the time Pop Pez were just coming out. And so I can tell you that a lot of the wobbler or bobblehead people did not like Pop Pez when they first came out. They were very against it. They thought this might replace their wobblers, which it kind of did. And so a lot of them had these big wobbler collections. They were not into this Pop Pez stuff. Pops, which is why I also think that when Pop Pez came out, a lot of people did not were worried that all these Funko collectors were going to mob the Pop PEZ world. And they did a little bit, but I think most of them, the pop people, do not collect Pop PEZ as much as they collect just pops. And part of that is just the sheer numbers. There's just so many Pop PEZ out there to get that they don't have time for all the other, lines that Funko comes out with. Anyways, let's go back in the other room real quick. So those were like the first ones that came out. A lot of people have a lot of questions about their authenticity. Came out, we had some of the main people like Sean Peterson and Richie. We're trying to get a hold of them. And then after they got a few in their collections, very soon, Brian stopped making those for his giveaway. So I'm kind of thinking that somewhere along the line, they pulled the pin on the pop or the bobblehead PEZ. I did lay out just a couple of my boards with some pins. I have way too many pins. I think there were over here maybe were some of the kind of odd ones. There's like the set there with the superheroes. There's some of these Odyssey of the Mind ones. Those are pretty rare. You don't see those come up too often. There's a bunch of Richie's pins on this one. And here we've got, looks like a lot of Ivan's stuff, Slovenia. Some of Glue's pins. So I got big into pins early as well. There are a couple of people, Marianne and John Devlin, some of those guys, and we were, going kind of crazy with the pins, and, prices were getting just astronomical because a lot of the pins are maybe 5 made, and you had a lot of people who wanted them. So now the pin craze has kind of hit its peak and it's starting to wane a lot. But now people are starting to realize that there are some very cool pins that have come out that, they are trying to locate, and they're realizing it's not so easy to locate some of the rare ones. There's some of the ATX ones. Those are kind of hard to dig up. Some of Kelly's. Anyways, those are just some of the pins. There's a lot of different convention ones, and I've got a lot of them tucked away. Another thing that, being the fashionista that I am, I came across PEZ shoes. The PEZ shoes were made, it's an actual like designer shoe over in Europe. And the lady, Camilla Elphick, sells them on her website, and she sells them like, people on the website, they're listed at like 800 pounds or 800 euros, one or the other, which is just astronomical and crazy. So I had contacted her way back maybe 2-3 years ago when I first saw them, and I asked her if she had any way to sell them cheaper, if she had any samples. And so she sent me some of her photo shoot ones that had been used once in a photo shoot and they couldn't be sold as new, so she sold them to me at a really good price. But the quality of these is just like awesome. Not that I've worn them, but you can see the PEZ is like raised letters. This one's some kind of Sunday, it looks like, but this one's like a kind of velour-y shoe with the ankle strap there. That's kind of cool. There's like the hummingbird with the, hang on, how do I get that? So he's got like the hummingbird here with the purple, and they're like actual, people always ask me, did you make those? And I'm like, no, these are actual like nice shoes. Not that I know much about shoes, but anyone who's paying $1,000 for a pair of shoes, there must be something cool about them. I don't know. But anyways, those are kind of an odd thing. So I have most of them. I know there's a couple pair I could not dig up, and like I said, if I can't find them for at least half of that cost, that's kind of crazy. Skateboards is another one I pulled out because I thought people might be into skateboards. These are some of the different kinds. Some of the slightly more common ones we had seen today, like there's the set that got pulled from the firm. There were 5 of those, I think, 5 or 6, I can't remember right now. And those are like up on the rack, so like the Knight and Casper and some of those. Then there's the 3 different real ones. There's, I think, this Cream Puffy 7 one might be an Australian one. Then there's a couple other ones, and then obviously the old green one there. Is that the 70s or 80s? I don't even remember. So those are some of the different odd skateboards I've dug up. This one I just picked up a little while ago from someone. It's autographed by the band, which is kind of awesome. And then there's the other one. I'm sure there's more out there. I'm always looking, but I always kind of forget that one when I'm searching for stuff. And usually all I get when I search eBay is like a Bart Simpson thing that comes up with the skateboard all the time. So this is the rack I use. Like usually I close the door over here to the PEZ room. You know, when people come to see my collection, I usually show them this and say, hey, look at this, my collection. And they're like oohing and on. And then I walk in my room and there's like a little bit more. So let's see. What do I point out in here? Just a couple things. There's some of those little candy things. Japanese. There's these banks a few years ago. You can't really see those too well, but they had some eBay had some sales from PEZ International where they did some different auctions on like Spanish eBay, French eBay, and you had to go to all the different ones and try to bid. And they had some really weird stuff on there. There's the cell phone straps. There's a set that doesn't show up too often. It's this Pop Mario. So there's the whatever he is, Koopa guy or whatever. And then Mario. So that's probably the least common version out of those, but then there's different ones in that. There's the album with the different car pictures and then the airplane ones. A lot of my paper stuff I don't put out. I have it stashed in drawers. I don't know a good way to display it, and my room is a complete mess to begin with. Oh, here's one. When you see the cereal giants, you usually see the bee, the whatever that guy is, the hamburger helper. Back there you can see well, you can't really see it, Lucky Charms and the Tricks. But the one you never really see is there's one right here in the middle. It's a little bit smaller box. It's program exchange. When you open it, there's a PEZ truck in it. And I wanted to get it out, but this cabinet's totally like buried in there. So I can't really dig that one out. But that was one I came up with that was kind of cool. Let's see. Over here, ornaments. Again, I started getting a little more into some of the different totems, Zephyrs, TV pals, whatever they want to call them. There's the I Love New York giant. Supposedly the story is she was going to do a promotional kind of stunt, and it didn't work out. So then they had to dispose of all these. And if you look, the packaging is kind of really cheap, like the way they have it in here. It doesn't even like connect, and it's really kind of cheaply done. But it was actually produced, and it's a brand new product, I guess. Something else that I really think is cool, probably one of my favorite things, is I came across a seller on eBay that was selling like a stuffed bear. And I think it was this guy right here, this brown one. And I thought, oh, it's just one of those fuzzy bears. Well, it turns out it wasn't just a fuzzy bear. It was like a giant one. So the normal fuzzy ones, and I don't have one. Oh, wait, I do. So a normal one would be like that. And this one looked a little larger. So I emailed the lady and said, how tall is this? And she said, oh, it's about 12 inches tall. And so what I did is I asked her where she got it. And she said she worked at the company, and supposedly the owner either committed suicide or passed away. And they were closing the place she worked at, and they had all these samples laying on a table. And you could grab whatever you wanted for your kids and family. And so she grabbed a bunch of stuff, and I ended up buying it from her. But there's a really cool, the T-Rex, or not a T-Rex, the Stegosaurus, I think that is. These two lions, and a lot of them have like the tags on them where it still says like prototype sample, soft goods, da 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 da. And so I kept bothering her to see what else she had. There's also the giant Dalmatian. Hey, who's that hiding down there? And then those are fairly common. But she also sent me a catalog that she had of all the different dispensers that they had created that they were going to come out with. But then they ended up not doing it. And so there's all these like the Target dog. Some of the better ones are back at the end here. So these are all like the ones that they were going to create. I think the dog looks cool. But there's like a dragon back here. Come on. Way in the back. Parrot. Horse. So there's a dragon. I thought that would have been an awesome fuzzy friend. And then even the wizard. There's another dragon. There's a purple one. And then the wizard. Not sure how they would have made him a fuzzy guy, but anyways. No, I don't know. Am I able to hear people? Like
We
Landon
can.
or
People have been sending things through chat, and actually, while you're near the stuffed one, someone asked, "Do the large stuffed ones say PEZ on the side, like down the
large
stem?"
stuffed ones?
Yeah, like
You're
those
an
ones.
absolute beast, Tom Zelmer.
So they do have PEZ on them. I also have some of the smaller ones that don't say PEZ, but they have PEZ tags on them. This dog is really cool too. I love this dog. It's just like a droopy little thing, but and then their tags, like some of them have the date.
Hey Tom, do they have dispensers inside of them?
No, they don't. They don't dispense anything. They're just kind of like a fuzzy toy, I guess. Let's see. Here's thanks to Rory and Brian at his gathering. There's this fantasy Princess Leia. They just picked that up a lot. I also have a lot of autograph stuff. Not quite as many as Brian does. And Brian's actually helped me acquire a few of these. But I'm starting to get into those. Some other stuff down here. There's the party pack. I almost popped that open tonight and had a party with it, but I realized the balloons are probably all stuck together. Some of the other pipes, they're a little harder to find than the Indian ones, the Chibics or whatever they're called.
The Shebik.
There you go, Joe. I knew you knew that one. That stuffed PEZ pillow. There's some kind of skull. I don't remember the artist who does those, but they're kind of hard to get. Some things here. The Make-A-Face I had to piece together. It took me about 4 years to get all the parts, 1 or 2 at a time, but saves a lot of money that way, but it was not fun. Saving money was fun, but trying to dig them up and wheel and deal for them wasn't. Tins over here. Then there's another pair of the shoes, Statue of Liberty ones. I think that's the only other pair. Some eyeglass stuff. I don't know if you can see in there. There's a lot of eyeglasses. Some of them are like sample ones. There's, whoops, like the catalog that they had. Different cases there. There's a rack of the glasses. The glasses sometimes are hard to dig up because people want to sell them for whatever you buy glasses for, which I don't know because I don't wear them, but you know, 70, 80 bucks, which it's not something I want to pay for them. So you got to look on eBay and try to find people who are just dumping them. Some ball games. Let's see. Oh, another cool thing is this Bubbleman. So I found this Bubbleman, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 years ago. And it's got a little keychain, but it's foam. It's like a foamy. And I'd never seen one before. And then someone posted one somewhere. And I thought, oh, it's the same one, but it didn't have the keychain. And I looked, and this was the foam one. Well, I got it home, and they're 2 different ones.
Oh, wow.
So I've never really seen those before. I don't know where they come from or who made them, or, but they're actually really well done. So it doesn't look like someone just kind of did it on their own, other than the paint's peeling. I also had this one a few years ago, and I showed it around a little bit. This was probably, I don't know, this was way before like 3D printing was like big and common. So there's this white-faced guy. He looks almost like a Dracula kind of guy. I don't know. And on one side it said your specialty superstore in raised letters. And then the other side was Alliance Atlantis, which back then, as like right when the X-Files was coming out, and I think that's the company that did the X-Files. But it's got, you know, it's not quite PEZ. Like everything's a little bit off. So it's kind of an odd thing. And I bought it from a guy who lived out in New York, and he couldn't tell me anything about it. He said he got it at a flea market. But I've been trying to find information on that ever since. I've got some Monopoly games. I've got one of the Minnesota versions, one of the regular versions, and then somewhere I have the miniature version laying around. Some of those little scratch tunes, those are annoying because some of them are PEZ and some aren't. It was really annoying to buy some that weren't even PEZ and find out they weren't. I have a prop somewhere from a movie. Did I pass that up? From the, no, I can't even remember it. It's this lady right here, right there in the middle. That was a prop from, no, I can't even remember what it was. If it was the client or the, oh, my brain's gone. But it was a prop in a movie, and I got that on eBay. And it looks like a princess one, just kind of ground down and shaved in different ways. It actually looks pretty cool. And then these two body parts are European. They're really hard to find. But those are the two night ones. And then they also made a, let me see if I can find the other ones. They also made a Robin Hood that's not the Robin Hood most people think of. So these are the Russian ones. And then these are the two Robin Hood ones. And so those I don't find very often at all. I think I've only owned one other one like that. And then that's just a fantasy Black Cape Batman. That's not real. My daughter's real proud of these. I traded a guy, the Devlin Studios guy, and got her a bunch of these when she was in Cleveland with me. She always tells her friends when she comes over, she shows them those and tells them those are hers. So she's got her own little collection. Let's see some of Sylvia's. Common. Some of the dolls, I think it was a Dottie. I don't want to say Dottie, I'm not 100% sure though. Some Greg's Australian Easter stuff, Mexican. Here are some of the early, I think Brian showed some of these today. In the back, you can kind of see the non-painted ones, the prototypes. So I've got the regular and the prototype for every one. I've also got some of the regular ones. I've got the prototypes for all those. The prototypes, usually they make 2 to 4 of the prototypes, and they just basically are the unpainted versions back there. So you got Gene Simmons. I don't know if you can see back there. But again, that was when I was really big into it, and I was getting kind of first dibs back when I was on that fanatic thing, because I was making so many trades with people, which I didn't even really collect Funko, so it's kind of funny. This is all like the European, so I still love some of these convention ones from Europe. And then they kind of got to the ones that aren't quite as interesting, but still fun. Some of the fuzzy ones, again, the ones with the hearts, the bears with the hearts are probably the hard ones to find. The love bears, there's a lot of the FX stuff. I think John showed some of the cool penguins, so I'm not gonna do that. Over on this side, again, we've got our kind of our cycling jersey there. Cool Japanese, like kids sweater thing. Pfeffermans, that's kind of cool. Little Vuko guy. Let's see. Again, if it says PEZ, I collect it. There's, I don't know, what do you call that? Lip balm from pretty much everywhere. There's some of these Taco Villa signs that they hung in the window. They're kind of like a translucent almost. It's hard to see that on the camera, but so those came out a few years ago on the PEZ community. Someone was selling them, and I got like one of each. This rack has a lot of my weird stuff. Some paperweights, keychains. Again, there's some pencil holders that came like in the funky fizzy clips. There's also a version that has erasers and dinosaurs and stuff, which is a lot harder to find. These are lighters from Japan. I don't see those very often. Those are really nicely done. There's a couple boats here, some space guns. some candy dye things. There's a secret decoder and special messages. That other thing was part of a prototype. I think Chris Jordan might still have the other part, or maybe she has a full one, where that part in the middle there, whoops, where is that? This thing spins around and it spits out the candy on that round candy handers, those round ones that look like those colors. This was like the first attempt, I guess. Then there's these DSH space guns where they took the mold and reused it. Instead of PEZ, it shoots out little black pellets, which do not stay in the package very well. There's the weird PEZ song. Some of these planes, those are also pretty hard to find. Some odd package, I don't know where that came from. The ugly dog bank, I don't know. Some people think that was stamped. I had heard somewhere someone thought it might be real, but I don't know. This is another odd one. It's like a window shade for PEZ. That was in that auction I talked about from Europe. This was given away as a some type of giveaway they had on PEZ Europe. Brian, you know my name, has two of them. He's got this one and the other one. I forgot what, I think it's Mickey Mouse. I can't remember. These candy phones, those were in that auction as well. Those are probably the cheapest thing that came out. That and the tape. Back there is one of the, oh, that's a funky fizz. That's a crazy clip. That's a normal one. Tubes. Joe probably has a gazillion of those. The Thailand little rolls of clay and the shape things, cutters, whatever. Another type of wristband. What else? Up here, got some cool items. I think it's that Ghosty. PEZ Pals, that was awesome. Probably my
Tom, we only have a few minutes left, so is there something that you haven't showed off that you need to dash to show off?
All right. No, I don't know. I got, well, Lane's awesome. Zelmer. Oh, PEZ thing with all his pucks. I think that's about it. I don't know. I got a lot of stuff packed away. My next project is probably hitting the buttons. As you can see, I started laying those out on the floor, and that's kind of my next objective, is to figure out a way to do those, and then all my convention stuff. So
We had about a dozen people ask where Hot Delmer is.
Hot Zelmer is upstairs. She's trying not to laugh.
And Jim wants to know if you've been kicked off Survivor yet.
I have been kicked off Survivor. I was kicked off a few weeks ago, and I'm blaming Carol Baskin. I'm telling you right
Oh,
now.
goodness. My natural reaction to those words, Carol Baskins, is not PG. So I was told I have to be family friendly. So thank you, Tom. You added a bunch of stuff to my wish list. I saw stuff I didn't even know existed that now I kind of wish I didn't know it existed, because I don't want to have to find it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
very
fun
cool
looking
stuff.
for some of that. So I'm glad I could help out. So